The Access Object Model groups objects of the same type into collections. For example, the Forms collection contains all of the forms that are currently open within your workbook. If you want your code to affect every member of a collection or an array, you don't have to count the number of items in the collection and work through them one by one. Instead, you can use a for each loop to interact with every element in the array or the collection in turn. For this movie, we'll use the for each code module, and that is here in the navigation pane, so I'll double-click it to open it. There is a single subroutine called demo for each, and I have defined 3 variables. The first one is var shipcodes as a variant, and that is going to be an array that is defined within the subroutine. Next is var code, which will be an individual code within that array. And then I have myf, which I'm defining as a form, and that will be used later on in this movie. Below that, I have my array of shipping codes that are overnight, 2-day, 3-day, and ground. Now, if I want to step through each element of the array, I can use for each, for, space, then each. Now I want to use a variant that would be a subset of the array. So rather than use var shipcodes, which is the array, I use another variant, and that I have as var code, var-code, space, then in, space, and then the name of the array. So that's var-ship, codes. Then press enter a couple of times and go up, then press tab to move over so that this code stands out as being within a loop. Now in this case, all I want to do is display a message box that contains a shipping code. So I'll type MSG, box, a space, and then var code, var-code. So in other words, whatever the current member of the shipcodes array is contained in the var code variable, that will be displayed in the message box. Now I'll press enter twice and then backspace, and then type next, var code, var-code, and press the down arrow key. So now when I run my code, I should see each member of the array in the message box, and it will happen 4 times. So press F5 to run. I've got overnight, okay, 2-day, okay, 3-day, okay, and ground, that's the last one, and we're done. So that's how you use an array. Now let's say that you want to work through a collection such as all the forms that are currently open within your database. Well, to make that work, I'll have to open a couple of forms, so I'll press Alt F11 to go back to the main database window, and then in the navigation pane, I'll double-click Clients, and then I'll double-click Products. So my Clients and Products forms are currently open. Now I'll press Alt F11 to go back. Now I'm going to edit the code within the subroutine so that I work through all the forms as opposed to the members of this array. So the first thing I'll do is comment out all of this code. I'm commenting out the code rather than deleting it because there is a possibility that I would want to use this code later, either here or in another module. You should never erase any working code because you might be able to reuse it. So now I can type my for each routine to work through all of the open forms, and that would be for each, then myf, myf, and again, the third dimension statement in the subroutine defines myf as a form. So I have for each myf in, and then the forms collection, forms, return twice and then a tab. Now message box, msg, box, space, then myf, and again that represents a form, period, and then the property of the form I want to use, and I'll just display the name, name, enter twice, backspace, and then type next myf. So what this code will do is it will step through each member of the forms collection, which is the open forms within the database, and display each form's name. So when I press F5, I get the clients form, click OK, get the products form. Those are the only 2 forms that are open, so when I click OK, I go back to the Visual Basic Editor. The for each loop greatly simplifies your programming code when you want to interact with each member of a collection, such as every open form in a database. You can always add other logic to work with the items, or you can simply display properties that are of interest to you.